Hello, Hope School family. This is Darren Wilson, Director of Online Operations at Hope School of Leadership. In today's Deep Dive podcast, we'll be talking about Designing Social Change, Section 4. We're glad you've joined us today. I think you'll enjoy the conversation. Let's listen in.
If you're tuning in, you probably feel that pull, right? That drive to actually make a difference in your community. Maybe it's about helping other young people or families, or maybe strengthening things within your church. You've got these great ideas you're passionate about, but figuring out how to turn them into something real, something effective, that can feel like a huge leap. Okay, so let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into prototyping. It's a really crucial part of human-centered design, especially when you're thinking about community programs.
Absolutely. Our mission here is really to break down this whole ideation phase, prototyping thing, based on some great source materials we've looked at. We want to show you how you can take those opportunities you've spotted and, turn them into innovative, actual solutions that work for the people you're trying to serve. And honestly, if you're serious about seeing your vision for your community actually happen, getting your head around this process is, well, it's vital.
Yeah, and the materials we're drawing on readings, video clips on design and prototype, they're really practical. Lots of steps, real examples, things you can hopefully use directly. So let's start basic. What is a prototype exactly? Well, simply put, it's like a tangible version of your idea, or maybe a visual one. Think of it like a rough draft, a sketch, maybe a quick model made out of cardboard. It's a way for you, your team, and this is key, the people you actually want to help, to kind of play with the idea, to test it out before you sink loads of time or money or energy into building the final thing. And this is where it gets really useful for anyone trying to launch something new.
Right. And what's so powerful about it, I think, is its role. Prototyping isn't really about making something perfect on the first go. It's much more about learning. It lets you get feedback, super valuable feedback. You can spot problems you didn't expect and then tweak your design based on how people actually interact with it.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally about learning from what doesn't work. You build fast, test fast. The whole point is to find the flaws quickly so you can fix them, adapt, iterate. It's kind of a mindset shift away from perfection towards just making progress.
And it's definitely not a straight line, step 1, step 2, step 3, done.
Easy.
It's more like a loop, right? You test something, you get feedback, you change it, you test again, you might even jump back a few steps. It's this cycle, this constant refinement that really helps you land on something that's effective, innovative, and hopefully makes a real impact. Okay, so we get the why. Let's get into the how. The sources we looked at lay out a pretty clear 6-step process for prototyping. It kind of walks you from that first spark of an idea to something more solid, ready to go.
Yeah, think of it as a practical map. And these aren't just abstract steps. They're really designed to help you as you're stepping into leadership roles. Build things that genuinely work. Things for young people, for families, for your church community. Real solutions. So, step 1. Generate ideas. We usually call this brainstorming. Now, brainstorming sometimes gets a bad rap, like it's just chaos. But the sources really frame it as disciplined creativity. It's structured.
Right. And for it to work well, there are a few key things the sources point out. You need the right kind of space, somewhere with wall space where people can move, stick things up. The tools are simple. Post-its, markers, paper. Oh, and they actually mentioned snacks. Apparently a bit of sugar helps keep the energy up. Who knew? Then the group. You want diversity, maybe 6 to 8 people, and importantly, include folks not on your immediate team. Fresh eyes, Timing is also crucial. Keep it focused under an hour total, maybe 15, 20 minutes per question you're tackling. And having a good facilitator makes a huge difference. Someone to guide it, keep things on track, keep the energy positive.
And that facilitator guides you through what the sources call the 7 golden rules of brainstorming. Really important stuff. Rule 1, defer judgment. Seriously? No bad ideas at this stage. No critiques. Just get it all out there. 2, encourage wild ideas. This sounds a bit strange maybe if you're trying to be practical, but the sources stress that sometimes the really breakthrough ideas start out sounding completely crazy. Let people go there. 3, build on others' ideas. It's that yes and mindset, not yes but. Collaboration. 4, stay focused on the topic. Keep that main question visible, like the how might we question.
Oh yeah, the how might we question. That's such a useful frame, isn't it? Instead of saying we need to solve X problem, it flips it to how might we empower young people? Whatever it is, it opens things up.
Exactly. It invites solutions. Okay, the last 3 rules. 5, 1 conversation at a time. Make sure everyone feels heard. 6, be visual. Draw stuff. Even simple stick figures can convey an idea faster than words sometimes. And 7, Go for quantity. Just generate loads of ideas. The thinking is, the more ideas you have, the better chance you have of finding a really great one.
And this whole stage, when done well, it really builds that energy, that excitement for what you're trying to achieve in your community. It gets everyone invested.
Okay, so you've got this wall full of Post-its. Now what? Step 2. Select promising ideas. First thing, right after the brainstorm, quickly group similar ideas, bundle them up.
Then comes the voting. It's about using the team's collective insight. Everyone usually gets a couple of votes, maybe using sticky dots or just marking the Post-its. Typically, one vote for the idea you think is most likely to succeed, and one for the one you find most innovative or exciting. And doing this silently at first is key, apparently, so people aren't influenced by others.
Then after the silent vote, you talk about it. Tally your votes, discuss the results as a group, and then you decide, okay, which 2 or 3 ideas are we actually going to explore further? You have to be realistic here about resources, time, what's feasible.
And the sources also say, trust your gut here. If there's real excitement around an idea, if people feel that pull, that sense of purpose, especially if you feel called to this work, that energy is a good sign. All right, step 3, determine what to prototype. This is crucial. You've got your promising ideas, maybe 2 or 3. Now you need to figure out what specific part of the idea you need to test. You break it down.
Exactly. How do you do that? Well, first, break down the user experience. Think about the whole journey someone goes through with your idea, beginning, middle, end. How do they find out about it? What's the first interaction? What happens next? How does it wrap up or continue? Second, create an experience map. Visualize that journey. Sketches, text, whatever works. Post-its are great because you can move things around easily. Third, for each step on that map, identify your learning questions. What are the big unknowns? What assumptions are you making? Like, how will folks in our church actually hear about this new program? Or maybe will families be willing to commit time to this? And finally, figure out the order of operations. Which questions are most critical to answer first? And what kind of prototype will best get you those answers?
Yeah, and the big takeaway here from the sources seems to be test small pieces. Don't try to build the whole grand vision at once. Just prototype the parts where your biggest assumptions lie. Test those first. They mentioned that IDEO.org example, Smart Life, the hygiene subscription. They mapped out that whole journey to pinpoint exactly where they needed to test things.
Right. And conversely, they mentioned that team designing the mobile counseling center. They built this really nice scale model, but it didn't actually help them answer things like, how will people sign up? Or where should it be located? Prototyping how they'd spread the word or where people could access it easily, that would have been much more useful early on. It really highlights making sure your prototype answers the right question for that stage. Which brings us neatly to step 4. Make your prototypes. Time to get hands-on. This is where ideas become something people can react to. You make them tangible. You can share them, get that crucial feedback, learn, and then refine. And you really can prototype almost anything. Keep it simple.
It's amazing how basic these can be and still be effective. The sources list a few types. You can make a model, like a simple 3D version using craft supplies, paper, cardboard, pipe cleaners. Keep it rough initially. Low fidelity, like that cook stove team modeling burner shapes, or a mock-up. Good for digital stuff or interfaces. You can literally sketch screens on paper, maybe tape them onto a phone or computer screen to simulate navigation, like that Mercy Corps example with the phone screen on a poster board. Roleplay is brilliant for services. Act it out. Take on different roles, the user, the provider. It really surfaces questions and potential issues. Simple props help, like the team acting out ATM use or the one using uniforms for community ambassadors. A diagram can be a prototype too. Mapping out a system, a network, a user journey. Especially helpful for services. You can even create a story. Describe the future experience. Write a fake news article about your successful program, or a job description for someone running it, or create an advertisement. A quick flyer or poster highlighting the benefits. Then maybe tweak it for different potential users, like the team making sample pamphlets for the water service.
Yeah, lots of options. And while you're building, keep noting down questions that pop up. Oh, and take pictures. Document how the prototype evolves. It's useful later.
Okay, build the prototype. Now, step 5, test and get feedback. This is gold. Sharing these rough versions early helps you see what actually matters to people and what just isn't working. Time to go back and talk to the community again, the people you hope to serve.
Definitely. And when you test, think about a few things to make it really productive. First, the setting. Where will you get the most honest, useful feedback? In a controlled workshop or out in the actual community environment. Second, be clear on what you need to test. What specific feedback are you after? First impressions. Can people figure out how to use it? Will it change behavior? List your goals. Third, plan your feedback activities. Is it just a conversation? Or do you need to set up the activity like it's real and just observe? Maybe you need longer-term testing to see the impact. Fourth, and this is huge, invite honesty. Frame it as a work in progress. Make it super clear their feedback is essential for making it better. Fifth, stay neutral. This is hard. Don't get defensive. Don't try to sell the idea. Just listen. Take notes on everything, good and bad. And finally, be ready to adapt. If someone suggests a change, maybe even let them modify the prototype right there. Be flexible.
And you don't need tons of people, right? Just a few focused conversations can give you so much insight. The key is letting them experience it somehow, not just talk about it.
Absolutely. And if you can, maybe show them a couple of different prototypes to compare. That can spark interesting discussion. And critically, always schedule time right after the feedback session for your team to debrief. Capture everything while it's fresh. What surprised you? What excited people? What fell flat? What do we need to explore next? Use prompts to guide the discussion.
Which leads us to the final step, step 6. Integrate feedback and iterate. Okay, you've got all this feedback. Sometimes it might even conflict. Now you got to make sense of it all.
Right. How do you process it? First, cluster the feedback. Get together as a team, share notes, talk about the reactions, group things together, positives, concerns, suggestions. Look for patterns. Second, evaluate relevance. Go back to your original goal, your how might we question. Does the feedback change your core idea, or just how you execute it? Third, prioritize. You probably can't act on every single piece of feedback. Decide as a team what's most critical for success. What must you address? And finally, evolve your prototype. Make the changes based on the feedback. Improve it. Address the problems. Build on what worked. Create a new version. And then you start the cycle again.
That planter example from Ethiopia you mentioned earlier is perfect for this. The farmers pointed out the mud problem with the wheels. They suggested fixes. The team didn't just pick one. They quickly made several different wheel prototypes based on those suggestions. They tested them all and found that every iteration was an improvement. That direct feedback loop was key.
Exactly. And iteration can be super fast. Sometimes you make tweaks right there during the feedback session. Teams might go through dozens of small iterations, constantly refining until it feels right, until it actually works for people.
So connecting this all back, what does this mean for your projects? For the work you want to do with young people or families or in your church, it shows these aren't just abstract design steps. They lead to real impact. Let's touch on those case studies.
Yeah, the Asili case study in the DRC is incredibly powerful. The context was grim. 1 in 5 kids dying before age 5, often from preventable causes. During their early research, they learned about a woman stopping prenatal care because costs were unpredictable. That insight, the need for transparency and reliability, became central. But here's the really cool part. In the ideation phase, they didn't just interview community members. They invited 7 local women into a 2-day co-creation workshop. These women weren't just giving feedback, they were designing alongside the team. Naming, logo ideas, service details. This deep collaboration gave such richer insights into what would actually work sustainably in their context. Later, during implementation, the partner organization, ARC, kept that human-centered spirit, even adding a patient's bill of rights. And Asili launched health clinics, clean water, ag services. People bought in, even in deep poverty, because, as they said, it works for them. The name Asili means foundation, and it truly became one, sparking other local businesses. It shows what happens when solutions are genuinely community-driven.
Wow, co-creation right from the start. That's powerful. And the other one, the Pump Away case study in Zambia. Designing that latrine emptying business, they had big questions. Is there actually demand? How do we sign people up? How do we even reach them? So what do? Rapid prototyping. In under 24 hours, they faked the business. Translators became salesmen with badges, brochures, fake receipt, a whole script. They went door to door. And the result? Totally unexpected. 7 out of 10 families wanted to sign up right then. They were actually annoyed it wasn't real yet. It gave them a concrete yes to the demand question, way faster than just talking about it.
So if we zoom out, the real power of prototyping, especially when you're driven by a desire to serve your community, maybe driven by your faith, is that it takes your passion, your great ideas, and it grounds them. It anchors them in the reality of the people you want to help. It forces that shift from asking, what if I did this, to really understanding what works for them. What do they need?
Exactly. You're not just designing for people, you end up designing with them. And this whole cycle, brainstorming, building something rough, getting it out there, testing, learning, changing, trying again, that's how you create things that stick, things that people actually embrace, and that make a real positive, lasting difference. It's how you make that vision God put on your heart become tangible.
Which leaves us with a question for you, the listener, to maybe reflect on. How can you bring the spirit of rapid learning, of trying things out, of failing forward, and especially how can you bring the voices and ideas of the very people you hope to serve into your design process right from the start as you think about your next idea for making a difference in your community?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into prototyping for community impact. We really hope this gives you some practical tools and maybe some fresh inspiration as you continue on your own journey of serving and leading.